Hello, everybody. It's the John Ross Show here for March 2nd, 2026. Uh, we were hoping to have a guest with us, Dr. Vincent Gaddis, but maybe we had a little miscommunication there. Maybe something's not going quite right. But if he comes with us, we'll go to that format then. But right now, we're just going to change our direction a little and yeah, we're going to talk about Trump and war and how this is affecting us. This Donald Trump and war. I talked to some friends the last days. They mostly on the Republican side. They think everything's going to be hunky dory, and I don't know. I don't think so. Oh, Dr. Gaddis is going to come with us in a moment. So it's 46 degrees out there, and we are in the valley here, and I'm going to take that down. I think Dr. Gaddis will be with us in a few moments here, and we'll talk about Jesse Jackson and other things. And Dr. Gaddis, are you with us now? I think he is. I think he's coming. Yeah, we'll have him in a moment here. Uh, he's he does teaching and he does other things, so it takes a little while to get him set up here. But we'll discuss about Jesse Jackson, Black history, and now the new current topic is the war. Hmm, the war, the Trump war, Trump wars, I guess we could say. Dr. Gaddis, can you hear me? I'm not sure yet. I see him on my screen. Okay. Okay, well, I'm going to put you up here in 1 second here. Okay? We're putting Dr. Gaddis up here. And we're going to have him and we'll talk. There he is. Dr. Vincent Gaddis, history professor at Elgin Community College, and he's had other distinctions too. We can go, he's done a lot of different things, and I've known Dr. Gaddis for several years now. And he's going to be Dr. Gaddis, I threw an array of topics out there. There's 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 so much happening right now,
Yes, there is.
and I just noticed that the funeral, I don't know, proceedings, I guess maybe would be the better word for Jesse Jackson are in South Carolina today,
Yeah,
and they've been in Chicago and they're coming back. I think that's
right.
my understanding,
Hmm.
and maybe hopefully on Friday we might have Juan Thomas, who's had some relationships with Jesse Jackson, and we'll talk more about that, and I suppose these other topics too. So, what's your thoughts on Jesse Jackson? Probably in the current situation, what would Jesse say?
Yeah. Well, I would say two things. First, we lost, of course, one of the great living legends of the civil rights movement. And like other icons of the civil rights movement, whether that be Martin Luther King, Andrew Young, Malcolm X, C.T. Vivian, John Lewis, not everyone was a fan of Jesse Jackson.
Right, right. No,
He
I
was,
understand.
and not everyone, well, by the when King was assassinated, 70% of Americans didn't like Martin Luther King. So we need to understand that because this country does go through periods of sort of mythologizing leaders, and we need to recognize that the things that Jesse Jackson was doing, even when he started this, so really was one of the first students who started the student sit-in movement.
Okay.
in South Carolina. He was rose to help assist Dr. King as one of his key lieutenants with the Operation Breadbasket here in Chicago. When King comes to Chicago in '66, it's Jesse Jackson who is the one trying to organize and bring people together to create dialogue around open housing and so on. And it is through that and the efforts, really by that time, of SNCC, which had become a much more nationalist organization, with Stokely Carmichael as its head, and the Student National Coordinating Committee instead of Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, right? A major switch there, that Jesse Jackson still is part of the SCLC, but also recognizing this shift towards a much more militant nationalist kind of, um, blending, right? Blending of the ideas of Martin Luther King and people like Malcolm X, and the rise of Black Power, puts together Operation Push, right? People
Okay.
united to save humanity, right? And that broadens into, right, the Rainbow Push Coalition. But the original Rainbow Push Coalition was started by Fred Hammond and the Black Panthers,
Oh, okay.
right? That Rainbow Coalition. It wasn't called Rainbow Push Coalition. It was called Rainbow Coalition, which was between the Black Panthers, the Puerto Ricans, and poor whites
Okay.
who were in different gangs or whatever we want to call them, nations. And so Jesse, in sort of navigating that space, he's one of the key keynote speakers at the Black Power conference in Cleveland, Ohio, in 1972.
Okay.
So Jesse was saw the need for this synthesis of Black nationalist identity, right? Black is beautiful. I am somebody,
Right.
and recognizing that there needed to be more movement in the political and economic sphere in a nonviolent way. The Poor People's Campaign, Operation Push, its you know uh, focus on, um, bread and butter, hometown economic issues, wages,
Yeah.
healthcare, voting, etc. But in that capacity as Operation Push, and putting himself on the national stage, right? Running
Right.
for president in 1984 and in 1988. He was engaged in international policy. He negotiated the return of hostages from the Middle East on several occasions. So I think, given what happened on Saturday, I think Jesse Jackson would say it's wrong, that unilateral, preemptive military combat operations are immoral, unethical, a violation of just war standards, and a violation of the dignity of the humanity of the Iranian people.
Yeah.
Um,
I forget about. Well, you remind me again. I remember about the hostage things that he did, and stepped himself in these situations. Him and Jimmy Carter were like that, just stepping in some of these situations
yeah,
and resolving conflicts. And
yeah,
if
yeah.
Jesse probably was a little younger, right now he might be trying to do that too, to
Mhm.
step in this conflict and try to resolve it.
Well, he certainly believed, like King, and Malcolm and other Du Bois and other African American leaders across history, that military conflict is not the way forward if your vision is a humanity where every person is seen as a human being, unique, unrepeatable, deserving of dignity and respect. And the use of military is an express denial of your opponent's humanity. So I think he would have been absolutely opposed to especially preemptive strikes based on, at best, dubious information.
And it's probably pretty dubious. It's not too great information, and it keeps fluctuating all the time. Like the last few days of what the reason for it was. Some might say it's to avoid the Epstein files. Maybe that's one out
Mhm.
there, and
That's
maybe
one.
yeah, and
Uh,
maybe both Netanyahu and Trump like to deviate thinking from their problems, domestic politics. Both of them.
well, I do think it's interesting that we just bombed Iran.
Yeah, I know. I think it was 8 months ago or
Yeah,
something.
6 months ago or whatever it was, in which on the White House's website said, we had obliterated
Obliterated.
Iran's ability to make a nuclear weapon. So if that is true, then what was Saturday about?
You know,
If Saturday was about um, uh, a regime change,
that might have been. That's
and
another one.
in
Yep.
which we killed their supreme leader,
Right.
Khomeini,
Right.
um, then if that is the goal, what will be the regime now? Who will oversee that process? Will that regime be some kind of pro US
Right.
regime? Will what happened in Iran look like what's happened in Venezuela, where we unilaterally abducted the leader of the country instead of, 10 bombs going off on his
Right.
home, but the regime didn't change. It's
No.
just that the regime has said we will be transactional in favor of Donald Trump. Is
Right.
that what we're looking for in Iran? Will the Iranian people stand for that? Is this really about, elevating protesters who are opposed to a authoritarian government to be liberated from them? Well, in that case, maybe we should start at home.
So they're just back to the same old trouble, just with new leaders.
Right.
Uh, that doesn't sound like a great idea, or is it to get? This seems to be in the background too, profiteering off of oil.
Oh,
Maybe there's
no
an
question.
oil thing here.
Well, Iran does, 10% of the world's oil does come through Iran. And we know Donald Trump, as a transactional leader who is not interested in humanity or transformative politics or anything like that, he's simply transactional. And so, if somehow a deal is to be made to get Iranian oil to flow to the United States, he'd probably end the war and take that. I highly doubt that any of this is about democracy,
Oh,
about protecting women's rights, or anything like that. It is absolutely not any of those things, because he's not a proponent of those things right here in the United States. So, how could he be for it in another country?
I don't know. It's just, well, he's really messing up everybody around the world by doing this, and messing up our people that are visiting other countries. I would use the word our influence of business around the world, Christian influence of missionary. You just can go down the list where we're losing credibility here
Yes.
with the world, and he cuts out funding for aid, AID, and those things. I don't know what Africa would think of him. I doubt if they think too much of him. And these other countries are going to be coming right in. China, and mostly China. I don't know about Russia's got more problems, but China can take a definite advantage on these things.
Well, and they certainly will. I was discussing this earlier today, and what I'm about to say, I don't have any definitive corroborated evidence for.
Okay.
Let me just say that right off the top of my head.
Okay.
But China has been engaged for several years now in what they've been calling the Belt and Road Initiative to reestablish the ancient Silk Road network. Iran is a pivotal piece in the Belt and Road Initiative. Russia, it's so far, Russia condemned the attack, but they have not indicated that they are in any way going to assist the Iranian regime. China has not been as standoffish. And so the question becomes, if this war continues to grow and regionalize and deepen, what will be the actions of China vis-a-vis Iran? Will China supply Iran with technical assistance or weaponry or, uh, in the worst case scenario, troops?
Right.
Um, One reason Iran might want to do that is it has been on a very powerful arms building initiative for several years now, but has not engaged in any kind of major combat operations.
Okay.
In other words, if I'm building up my military, but I really want my most specialized troops to get real world combat experience, if I really want to see if my equipment really can hold up in real world combat
Okay.
experiences, I need some real world combat.
Oh, this is like the military industrial complex here.
And
Use
so
the stuff.
China may be willing to enter into in a limited way just to make sure it has what the things that it's built can do what they think they can do, because if you believe the CIA World Book and the Senate Intelligence Committee open briefing public briefings from 2021 and 22, which has not been refuted since, is that she had a timetable of retaking Taiwan as early as 2027. Now, is China in a position to really do that? I don't think so. Is the United States really in a position to stop them from doing so? I don't really think so. But is Taiwan a globally significant enough piece of real estate for China to try it? Yes, 90% of semiconductor chips come from Taiwan.
Yeah. And the other thing, I don't know the numbers, but they say there's a significant amount of oil that China imports from Iran.
Oh, yeah. Yes, they are a major oil importer. And so keeping the Strait of Hormuz open for the free flow of oil at market prices is really important. But, China's, to what degree they engage in Iran is going to be tempered by the United States, right? Does China want to engage the
Oh,
United
right,
States?
sure.
And the answer to that is no, because if the two do engage, we're going from zero to thermonuclear war probably pretty
That's no
quickly.
good for anybody.
Probably pretty quickly. And so
That's not a
that,
good thought.
yeah, that is not good for humanity.
No.
So but again, Albert Camus wrote in a great novel, The Plague, that people say war is stupid, and yet war seems to get its way.
Well, that's an interesting thought that war does get its way. Uh, I think I don't know what to say here. If it's going to be a 5 week war, 1 week war, or Trump's going to declare victory after 1 week. He's so, you know, what would we call it, erratic. That's, or you can think of some other words, but
Erratic is an excellent word. He certainly is not well, like I said before, Trump is transactional. He's not a visionary. He's not operating under any auspices of democracy or human rights or expanding, open communication. He is a purely transactional,
right.
narcissistic leader. So if it benefits him, he'll do whatever it is.
Yeah, and they're gonna, if there's not a change in Iran, and so far we haven't heard of one yet, the Trump people and others I know, a guy at my church that they were at a study, basically they're putting it on the people that they gotta rise up. Go, come on, they got,
Maybe.
yeah,
But
but it's,
what does rise up mean? Does
I
that
don't know. They really have to get the military on their side. There's no way around it.
well, but
And
we yeah, and we don't know exactly what is the I don't know at this time what is the position of the IRGC. I don't know.
right,
Um
military
and
groups that
if
they have, right,
if they're willing to allow some kind of democratic um,
right.
possibilities or system to open up, that may happen. I highly doubt it,
And
but it could be.
the other factor is I don't know if there. I still don't know if there's still a great love for the United States, even by these people that are democratic. When you bomb your country and kill what's
Well,
150
uh,
kids, and
right. Well, when you kill the supreme leader, what
right.
we have seen is, um, and we don't know how deep it is, but there certainly were very large protests in support of the supreme leader.
Well, and then I
And
saw
we
this
know
other
that
one.
there were other
Yeah,
protests, large, in support of creating some kind of democratic alternative. Well, which way does it split?
I don't know.
We don't know.
But I think killing your leader, even though you didn't like him, I don't know, it makes people too happy that you pull yourself in that type of thing.
Hmm.
And I, it's a quagmire. I don't know what you want to say. I just don't see. I think Trump is going to do his old thing and let the regime be the way it is and say we did something and get some oil and say we were successful.
Well, and that would, given the Trump Venezuela playbook, that
Yeah.
would make sense, especially if Iran does what Venezuela did, which is make a deal for the oil and then put the money in Trump's personal bank account.
They're
$550 million of
right.
Venezuelan oil money has gone not to the United States Treasury, but to Donald Trump's bank account.
There was some report that the foreign minister, I forgot the name of the guy, it was on MS Now. They had what's the name of the reporter? Well, anyway, he said he had talked with the foreign minister of Iran like Friday or something, and they were going to meet on Monday and talk about some deal. And it basically was to give some oil and stuff. And I don't know about inspections, but maybe that was thrown in. But there was some concessions on minerals and something. So
Yep.
you know that it's out there. But Trump didn't, for some reason, didn't buy that, or they weren't buying that, and they wanted this thing. It seems like they really just wanted this
Well,
so
and I
bad.
think that's really, when we get down to it, that's a factor we have to just that we have to critically analyze as well. How much does Donald Trump want these things because of his ego, his narcissism? In his mind, he it makes him, a great leader. Um,
Yeah. What do you think? I think the Democrats have been pretty weak lately on this. I personally think by not throwing out impeachment on Trump, they've oh no, I know you're not going to get it through the Senate, but you've got to throw out the threat. They don't even want to try
Well,
that. And I
you're
know they could get it through the House probably.
I would have my doubts right now, even though the House is very close
I think
in
they get
terms of
through the
its
House.
split. But what does impeachment mean? It
Well,
doesn't
my
mean
point,
anything without removal from office, right?
I
It,
understand that point.
he needs to be prosecuted in a court of law.
I
That's what it
understand that,
needs
but
to
it's not.
happen.
I want that too, but it's not going to go there. I just think if they want to, there's a big talk. Oh, we want to impeach.
Yeah.
No, I go. Yeah, that's the same thing. So
Well,
why don't you go
and
for
they
the
should.
top and not? Why are you
Right.
going for this little at
Well,
the bottom?
these are important questions because it's funny because when you listen to the candidates who are running for Senate,
Right?
and in our area, Illinois 8th, they're getting a lot of TV time too.
Yeah, we got three candidates
Just
basically
about
for Senate
everybody.
Democrat, and they'll be
It,
the senator. Whoever of those wins will be the senator. My opinion.
well,
That's no way.
right, right. But my point is, they're all running on I'm opposed to Donald Trump.
But they are.
Okay, well, what does that look like? Right? What does I'm running against Trump or I don't support Trump? What does that really look like? Are you going to put forward articles of impeachment? Are you going to put forward? Right, I would just love if somehow the Congress would just simply say, we have a constitution. And so Article 1, it is the first article, and we're going to live by it and take back the power that was given originally to the legislature, who over time, not just this Republican House, but since 1964, has abdicated the war power, has
Right.
abdicated budget authority, has abdicated its power. And the legislature needs to take back its power. Now, last thing on this, or I don't know how long we're going
Yeah,
to talk,
we'll wrap it up here soon. Go
last thing
on.
on this point
Yeah,
that we brought up, well, why does Trump want to go to war and da 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 da? Okay, let me give another worst case, terrible thing that I don't want to see happen.
that's it.
You extend this, you extend the war,
Right.
and you use it as the pretext to call off the midterm elections.
Yeah, that is another worry that I think he's going to use that as a pretext that we're talking here that we could be treasonous.
Yep.
I really think that, but he hasn't declared a war, so the courts would have to rule on it. But I think he
Right.
wants to use these type of powers, and the election is one, and the media. He go down the list. That this is one thing he might do. I
Yeah.
agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We have to keep our eyes open, because if in fact a blue tsunami were to occur, and hopefully a blue tsunami that brought in progressive candidates,
right. I understand. Right.
impeachment, and depending on what happens in the Senate, removal could be a
Right.
real thing.
Well,
Then it could be a real thing.
I think Republicans might be under more stress. My point is 2028, if they need something new and Trump is old, and in
Mm,
my opinion, they might impeach him just because we want to get some new blood here.
mm.
I
Well,
don't know.
I don't think
Because
Republicans have they
otherwise
haven't they
they're
haven't they haven't booted themselves out of the cult yet. They're
yeah,
still under the
I know, that's
power
true.
of the
That's
cult of
true. It's a cult.
personality of Donald Trump. I don't see it. I just
It's
don't
a
see it.
cult. It's a cult. It's somewhat of a. I don't want to say that to my friends too close, but it is a cult. I'd say, yeah. They haven't seen the uh, as they Jim Jones stuff. They drank the Kool Aid, I guess.
Right. Well,
They
and
don't.
and when I say cult, I mean a cult of personality, right?
I know
Donald
what we're
Trump
not talking religious,
runs
but
the
anyway, you're
party.
right. No, it's close to that though, but it's not
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
But
MAGA is the Republican Party,
right,
and until that cancer is removed from the Republican Party, um, it's Trump, Hegseth, Noam,
But
Bondi, Patel, all the way, all day.
I think people are generally, by polling, are frustrated with that. So I think it's going to get worse for that. So I think they'll try to do what we just said here, maybe
Mm-hmm.
extend it and
Mm-hmm.
make everybody that's against them a traitor or whatever you want, how
Mm.
you want to look at it. And about the election will be done and
Yeah.
the whole thing
Well, we know they have a file on you.
somewhere. I, I doubt it. We got to get more viewers for them to get fired. I'm in Spanish. I'm un poquito. I'm small. I'm really no. No, well, thank you, Dr. Gaddis, for. We always when we get together, we folks we talk too long. I hope you enjoy this and will listen to this. I'm going to push this around. I got to try to push it around, and
Yeah, yeah,
I'll give you some links here too.
sure.
And this tomorrow on Wednesday, we're going to have a guest. We're going to have Anita Lewis from the food pantry, Marie Wilkinson. Then on Friday, we're going to have, Lord willing, I think it's going to Juan Thomas, who's done a lot of different things with lawyering, and he's known Jesse Jackson. I'm sure we'll have some thoughts about what we just talked about here. And and I got some guest lines up for Monday too. We're going to talk about my Kiwanis Pancake Day. That's coming up on the 14th. You got to come out with your wife there, Doctor, for
Is
pancakes.
that now? That's the one for the support of
Kiwanis.
Habitat Humanity, right?
What now?
Isn't that the pancake breakfast for Habitat for Humanity?
Oh, no.
Okay,
This
that
is
one's
for
in like
Kiwanis.
May or June. Okay.
This is for
My bad.
Kiwanis.
Sorry.
It's over in Aurora
Mhm.
Central Catholic on
Oh, okay.
at 7 to noon on the 17th. No,
Okay.
the 14th and the 17th is the election and St. Patrick's Day. But no, it's on the 14th. And we're going to have a lot of little things for kids there. We're going to have fire trucks, police cars, other things like that, face painting and things I think magicians coming by. And so anyway, we're going to have fun with that pancake. And then I got another guest from administrative justice I hope works out, which is a legal helps that I'm working with too. So we got a lot of good things out there, and Dr. Gaddis is teaching our young people about history, and which is a very important thing. It seems like this administration wants to remove history, or I don't, or their history. Of course, I guess that's always out there. Everybody, as they say, who wins gets to write the history. Is that somewhat true?
That is very true.
Yeah. So we got to have true history, and that's what we're striving for. And I know Dr. Gaddis is too, in teaching these young ones. So thank you, Dr. Vincent Gaddis, for being with us, and we'll get back soon again.
All right.
Well,
Always a pleasure.
let's hope this thing's over, but we might be back again discussing the same topic.
Right. Right. Well, anytime. I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
Hmm.
Dr. Vincent Gaddis, and we'll see you then, all of you, on Wednesday. So we're going to say bye bye for now, and I got to get my sign off thing here. Where's my sign off? There we go.